If God of War taught me anything, it's that I really like hack and slash games, and I should probably play more of them. Before this, the only true hack and slashes that I played were Star Wars The Force Unleashed, Soul Calibur Legends, and Dragon Blade, whatever of fire. And before my adventuring days, I played the excellent Lord of the Rings games. So this time around, I decided to jump onto eBay and get 2 more of these games. One, Eastern developed, the other one, Western developed.
And if you think that your suggestions helped me come to this conclusion, shit, I got bid dates to prove you wrong. What? Ow! Alright, Future Storm, you can keep that line.
Bayonetta is a completely new intellectual property, which I think we can all be happy about. I like analyzing the name. I believe a bayonet is a blade on the end of a gun, then we add a feminine "a" at the end for good measure. But I prefer to call her Bayonettin'. Whoop whoop!
So Bayonetta is the name of the main character, and the main character is a chick. And right here I'm at a loss for words, because the thing I want to talk about the most is probably the least relevant thing to talk about in a reviewing format. Bayonetta is designed to be sexy, and the immediate appeal comes from the idea of being able to stare at her throughout the entire game. But it's not like the developers were trying to hide this. Bayonetta walks on gun high heels and wears, what we'll call right now, tight leather. And on not so rare occasions, she completely sheds her clothing. Somewhere deep inside, a voice was saying to me, how dare they shamelessly throw it in our face like this? And then another voice was saying, so what? I have an odd admiration for developers who just put it out there rather than sneaking it in and making us feel like perverts for noticing. Therefore, a simple damn just won't suffice. It's probably a little closer to damn. Trust me, I'm not trying to make everything sexual. This is just how things are coming down the pipe. Now, who is Bayonetta? Well, Bayonetta is a witch. Of course, not a witch in the sense of Halloween, and not a witch in the sense of Hermione, and not even a witch in the sense of pagans. She's a witch because she's just evil. She wakes up on the bottom of a lake bed, and all she can remember is wanting to fight on the side of the demons. With all this talk of Paradiso and Inferno, I thought it was pretty cool that I get to play a Heaven vs. Hell game where I'm fighting on the side of Hell. That held true for a while because all that Bayonetta wanted to do was beat up angels. Then some boss mentioned the creator, Jubilis, and how it needs to be resurrected, and that pretty much killed off the Heaven vs. Hell vibe. I then remember the introduction, which was quite effective in catching my attention. It edges very closely to every other movie or game with a theology made up by its creative directors. Things were good for a while, and then things were bad, so go set it straight. But then again, with Bayonetta, it was more like things were good for a while, then things were bad for a while, and then things were worse, and things were okay, and then I just settled into the idea that I'm not going to understand one thing that goes on in this game. After playing for a while, I realized I was incorrect in assigning the genre of hack and slash to Bayonetta. Slashing and hacking is actually pretty low on Bayonetta's priority of attacks. Instead, she shoots, punches, and kicks the angels until they explode from the inside out. So it's probably closer to a 3D beat 'em up. Wait a minute, a 3D beat thou up. It's second person, but it still works for me. But I wasn't thrown off the God of War Expectations bandwagon until I was learning the new combo system. You see, on our standard 4-button layout, 1 button jumps and 1 button fires your gun, leaving just 2 buttons for combos. And I guess the developers were able to foresee the button mashing that would ensue, so instead of only making a few combos, everything is a combo! And everything does look cool. I suppose I was expecting to be disappointed because part of the fun in God of War 3 was finding out which combos were most effective on the different enemies. And when everything's just a homogeneous blur of sexiness, I don't know. Again, I'm expecting to be disappointed, but I'm not. Okay, for a moment, let's just presume that I didn't like the combat. The redeeming factor is dodging. In most games, it's just convenient. But here, when you do it at the right time, you go into witch time. Translation, it just slows down time, which I will never get tired of, and you operate at the same speed. It's basically the combat boost from Perfect Dark. There was one move in particular that I really liked. Rotating the stick and pressing B or Y will enable Bullet Climax. You get to shoot in every direction really fast. She looks a bit like a Grammaton cleric. Oh, Bullet Climax. I just got the joke. Bayonetta's boss finishing moves involve calling her hair into the form of giant monsters to destroy the enemy. It is also here that we find out that Bayonetta is clothed in her own hair. And that's kinda gross, but I guess we shouldn't be thinking about that because she just dispelled all of her clothes. I do like the overall style of Bayonetta, being based in action and with a great variety of levels, but I can't bring myself to like the fact that it is very Japanese. You know what I'm talking about. This game is very cutscene heavy, and heavy in the cutscenes is heavy dialogue. And when they're not talking, cool, there's some awesome action, but I'd rather be playing the action. And she sprouts butterfly wings on a double jump. Well, when Bayonetta 2 comes out, I think I'll be able to rehash the line, it's a franchise made for girls. In the end, do I like Bayonetta? Well, yes, I do. There's nothing really wrong with the game. No, I take that back. There are some things that are very wrong with this game. First, I bought more weapons, but I don't know how to equip them. I read the manual and everything, and despite my repeated efforts, the menu just doesn't exist. Next up, camera controls. It's important to have the option to invert or not invert, and they have those options. But no matter what I set them to, they don't change. It wasn't until doing this voiceover that I found out that the actual inversion option is buried under several layers of menus. And the puzzle mechanic of running up walls during a full moon or freezing time next to these statues seems a bit underdeveloped. Well, not underdeveloped, I guess underutilized. No, that's not right either. I guess what I'm saying is when I see some water that I need to walk up, it's much more satisfying to figure it out myself rather than seeing two statues and saying, oh, I freeze time now. Wow, that complaint seemed really intelligent. Anyway, I choose to look over all this because I found out when you skip every single cutscene, it becomes a much shorter and much better game. I played it safe and had all my fun on easy and very easy mode, so I think I got my PayPal dollars worth out of it. Now all I have to do is go back and get all golds in the levels, and well, since I've already done that, now I try for platinum. When I'm done with that, I try for pure platinum. Damn it, Platinum Games, don't do that! At the very least, after studying a Bayonetta cutscene, I was able to come up with the perfect animated GIF for my MySpace page.
Oh man, nobody uses MySpace anymore. The American hack and slash should be here by now. Alright, since this eBay seller hoed me out, I gotta improvise. So I'm gonna pick a game from my pile of games waiting to have an adventure made. So... why not another Japanese candidate? Devil May Cry 4, Collector's Edition. I got this back when Game Crazy was closing down for really cheap and just sort of put it away.
Well, at least I still get to play a game with a character named Dante. That, of course, is just residual knowledge. I've never actually played Devil May Cry before. But I did witness somebody beating the last few levels of number 3 on the hardest difficulty, which I later learned was quite an achievement. However, when I started playing Devil May Cry 4, I learned that we had a completely different white-haired protagonist by the name of Nero. Apparently, Nero is on his way to church when he gets attacked by zombie ragdolls. In addition to being confused as to what was going on, why, and how, I was a bit pissed off. Here we go with another Japanese game with seemingly endless cutscenes. Why am I being such a sourpuss about this? Don't get me wrong, I very much appreciate the action, but in these cutscenes, the main character always does some crazy moves that you never get to actually perform in the game. I believe that's what we call no payoff. Anyway, it appears that Nero arrives just in time for opening ceremonies, and then Dante comes through the ceiling and shoots the high priest in the head. I guess that means that afternoon service is cancelled. And so kicks off the plot. Nero is tasked with tracking down Dante, and along the way he comes across a demon blade, and by taking it he inadvertently switches to Dante's side, but doesn't really know it, so the church people hold Nero's girlfriend hostage, and then he inadvertently creates his own demise. And the church people are angels or demons, couldn't really figure that part out. Then they open up a hell gate to make things that are bad just before they make it all better, and we're supposed to stop it? I really don't know. And henceforth we will stop caring about it. So how's combat? Again, we have a gun button. Actually, let me rephrase that. We have a gun button, and again in Bayonetta we have a gun button. Gotta get the order of appearance correct. And then there's a strong sword attack button and a grab button. Devil May Cry 4 has its own brand of combinations, and it works out really well and is really well put together. Although I'm still kinda angry that I can't ride my sword like a surfboard lawnmower. I would consider Devil May Cry 4 a hack and slash, but that's not the only way that it reminds me of God of War. They have these characters named Sparta and Kratos. Get it? And I know that Devil May Cry preceded God of War, so please don't bother me with your annoying corrections. The gameplay started out really strong. Nero followed Dante into a castle, and I had fun exploring it. There was even this really cool mechanic of a spinny object that you charge up with your sword and release with a punch. It acted as both a puzzle element and a weapon. Why didn't they have this creativity for the rest of the game? Instead, there were power-ups like the Sephiroth route, which was just a talentless way to connect points A and B. Same thing with Wing Talisman, which just let you jump really high because it was made of a crystallized angel wing. Would that be considered angel dust? Then I could hardly believe my eyes when I saw a 6-sided dice and a board for Nero to navigate. Why am I playing Chutes and Ladders in a Devil May Cry game? It all seems to indicate that the game designers just ran out of ideas. It's paradoxical. The production value is through the roof, but once they introduce this Demon Knight Angel thing, that's the only enemy you fight. Yeah, I got it. Tether your way over there and then attack from behind. And sure, they did introduce new enemies like the Gold Demon Knight Angel, which just takes more hits and turns around faster. The same thing is indicated with boss fights. They're awesome and action-packed, but after you beat them, they just don't die. Some bosses you have to fight 3 times. It's incredibly discouraging, but they had to do it like this because halfway through the game, they switch main characters and you fight backwards through the game. So there you are, learning new moves and getting used to your character, and then bam, it all changes. At least they have the decency to finally let you play as Dante. Which character has better moves? I really don't care. Nero is just an angsty, whiny, pussy-whipped dickwad. Dante, on the other hand, is always happy and joking, even when the odds are stacked against him. I would much rather play as this guy. This whole discussion brings me back to the time that I spoke negatively about alcohol in one of my adventures. Yeah, that was a great career move. The comment thread that ensued was superbly idiotic. It soon dissolved into philosophical arguments about how being happy is a bad thing. God, I just don't understand people. But even if I played the entire game as happy-go-lucky Dante, I don't think I would have enjoyed it a whole lot more. And that's because I really liked Bayonetta. It was a game where you played as a chick who majorly kicked ass. And when I came off of that and started playing as a bunch of dudes, well, it just couldn't hold up. This works in the opposite direction too. A while ago, I marathoned Mass Effect 1 and 2, 2 games I didn't really enjoy, but that only made me enjoy Super Mario Galaxy 2 and all the God of War games more. But maybe I only enjoyed Bayonetta so much because I was coming off of Heavy Rain, which is easily the worst game of all time. You can think of it as if Bayonetta was sushi, then Heavy Rain would be pickled ginger. Damn, I better write that one down. Since both these games are outside of my area of expertise, I asked some anime fans what they thought of them, and consistently they said Bayonetta was better. So I guess I'm accidentally right. And while we're on the subject, I guess I can clear something up. A question I get all the time is, "Hey Storm, do you like anime?" Wow, thanks for handing me a loaded question. Obviously you like anime because you wouldn't be asking if you didn't. And newsflash, no, I hate anime! Every show that promises great action has 3 times as much of worthless dialogue. And I know that the Matrix trilogy is pretty much live-action anime, but I got better crap to do. Like, playing more Japanese games.